Well, I'm going to start with some simple questions for you,
Okay.
Jack. So, how did you, so how long have you been in the business? But more importantly, how did you break in? What's your story of how you got into this crazy industry?
Well, I went to IU, and in that graduation process, I had a realty license. So I literally, I was slinging houses here and
Wow.
there. And I was actually in Mark Lewin's office
Okay.
um, on occasion, would sell a house here or there. And, and I graduated with a real estate degree with a finance minor. And I had a couple paths that I could take. One of them was going to be commercial real estate. The other one was going to be Mark Lewin's personal assistant,
Right.
getting him lunch and the important things. But literally, I chose to take the mortgage path. And so I was his assistant for about 14 or 16 months until I went off on my own. It became
Okay.
bluntly obvious,
Yep.
there was a pizza calling party that we had. And I literally was at a fork in the road where I didn't have a closing that month. And I remember like it was yesterday, and literally somehow First Tennessee Bank gave us all these leads. And next thing you know, I closed 10 loans that next month.
Wow.
And then I haven't looked back since then. That was 24 years ago.
Wow. So you actually graduated through a real estate program, and did they help you get your license and go through that whole process as part of it?
No, it's more of it's part of Kelly School of Business
Okay.
through my bachelor's through Indiana University. So it's not really a real estate license that's held through the state. It's just literally you're studying the finances of real estate and how to finance properties. And there was a lot of appraisal background.
Oh, yeah, for
So
sure.
I feel like I got a better handle on appraisals than most loan officers, just because I was able to literally, I was doing appraisals on commercial property and doing the income analysis and things of that nature. So that's part of my background that I think it helps me in my day-to-day operations here as a loan officer.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Do you ever reflect back and say, what if I would have gone the commercial route? Do you have any
I
buddies in there?
do. I think my life would be less stressful. I think, closing 74 loans in a month, it's taken a toll here the last couple months during COVID, just because I got the same number of people and we got the same number of loan, processors, but yet the volume seems like it's double.
Right.
So from that standpoint, I definitely reflect on that all the time. So it's, but you know what, it's obviously I'm handcuffed here right now because I've built the business and I've built a referral group that
Yeah.
really, trusts me, and it's worked out well for what I've done.
Right, right. Well, who knows? Right now, the residential side is rolling, and commercials, I think, going to take a little bit of a
Yeah,
hit. So, at least right now, it looks really wise.
it
So,
does. It does. It does. I have several friends that are in that world, and as leasing agents of office buildings. I mean, they're sucking wind for sure.
yeah, yeah. So tell me, you mentioned your team, right? And this is what's fascinating because, you go across the country and everyone's different. So tell me how you're structured, like with PAs, your processors, kind of what does that Jack Overy team look like?
So everything, as far as my team, I guess I prefer not to use the word team,
Okay.
because I'm the only one that
It's you.
produces.
Yep.
And I have one rock star assistant uh, that basically reports to me. She kind of runs a lot of everything from disclosing PEs, things of that nature. And then I also share another assistant with Mark Lewin.
Okay.
So technically I have 1.5 assistants.
Okay.
So, and I think I could use 4.5.
Yeah, for
At
sure
this
right
point.
now.
But nonetheless, at this point, I'm at 1.5. And the way our system works, literally, once I have everything and I push the loan over to DTU, it just lands in the processor's, lap. And then once it comes out of underwriting, we're jumping in, taking a look at what conditions are, and we're off and running.
Okay. And then you have one dedicated processor, or do you have more? What does that look like?
So my branch, me and Mark are in the same branch.
Mm-hmm.
And so we definitely, at closing 500 units, I have 5 processors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we do share a processor or 2. We cross over. So our branch processors are physically taking care of me, Mark, and then we have 4 other LOs underneath us.
And so from that workflow, that's as you have heard many times, right? There's lots of debate. Should it be a dedicated, especially when someone produces at your level? Should it be dedicated? Should it be shared? So what you've still continued to operate is you have the office team is supported by the group of processors, and they understand focusing on the purchase prioritization and managing the pipe, and it works out where you don't have to have yours and Mark has his, etc.
Over the years, we for sure have gone back and forth on this. It can be controversial when it comes to getting our own processors, sharing. Obviously, it works.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. There are probably, with this volume that we've recently seen, there's without a doubt some, probably from my perspective, I think it might be more organized if I had more of a dedicated processor. But I mean, again, at this many units, it's impossible for one processor.
Right.
As a matter of fact, you'd need 3.
Right.
So,
sure.
So with that being said, I think us sharing one, we've done it this way for a number of years, and it's worked, and we just haven't. If it's not broke, don't fix it type mentality.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously with you you've learned a few things on and this, again, the relationship between the origination side and the operations team, especially on the processing piece. What tips do you have for others who may not have it wired in? Is there anything that you would, kind of put as the Jack special sauce, if you will, on how to have those harmonious relationships between originations and operations?
It's funny you say that. I do have a tip, and Mark Lewin is he would probably be my mentor. He's like no other person, and so the one thing that he instilled in my work ethic is take a clean loan app. It goes in clean, it comes out clean, garbage in, garbage out. And his famous line is, "Don't let your crappy 1003 mess up my clean 1003."
Right.
And so, you need to ask the right questions up front to prevent, errors, extra effort that's unnecessary. In these times, you want to run efficient, and taking a good loan app is going to be the first step to go in the right direction.
Yeah, no, and it's to your point, it sounds so simple, but it is by far, and you can imagine, I see a lot of challenging, issues in my seat, and you can almost always go back to when whether it's a problem loan or a relationship issue between originations, at some level, it's the communication and or the quality of what went in, right? And it's so simple, but it is so important.
So, and in my particular workflow, my assistant is the one that definitely polishes that 1003. If there's something that I missed, or I do a lot of loans that come in through Bolt, so that can also cause some confusion, because the borrower types in the wrong information.
Yeah.
And so as far as getting that polished up, she definitely polishes that up for me and makes me look good.
Yeah. So do you, from your assistants, the 1.5, the one and the one you share, have you trained and hired, or non-experienced and brought them into the business, or have you hired someone with some level of experience? Which has worked better over the years?
So, so Marianne, who's my lead, assistant, she's a senior processor.
Okay.
And so, as far as trying to get somebody, that's at that point where they want to get to the next level and they want to hire an assistant, I think there's nobody better than getting a quality, good processor, especially somebody that's familiar with H2O. I think that's who you're going to be able to transition to if you're bringing on an assistant, if you're at that point where you're teetering towards getting to the next level and an assistant's going to get you there. That's who you want. I think to hire somebody that's green is okay too. There's just a learning curve, but to have somebody that actually knows some guidelines and can actually eyeball, the file before it goes in case you're busy and miss something, that extra experience that processor has is going to, transition over to the assistant role.
Yeah, no, that's a great tip from there. So switching gears just a second. So you talked about, obviously you've built this referral network, and so from a, where does your business development come from? Is it primarily realtors builders, or just, obviously I know you have a lot of past customer referrals as well.
It's definitely all the above. I'm going to say mainly realtor based. I have 2 builder relationships that account for several closings a month. I got a couple attorneys and
Okay.
a financial advisor, 2 of them that I work with. But overall, I'm going to say it's without a doubt realtor based. And then, obviously in times like this, I've got, I think 3,000 caliber clients, somewhere in that neighborhood, close to 6,500 closed loans.
Yeah.
To say that I'm mining all of those, some of them are duplicates, but nonetheless, past clients definitely are going to be a big referral source too, especially in the refi days.
Yeah. What's amazing on your referral too, and you and I have chatted about this, is your ability. The refis, makes sense, right? You still have to be good and deliver great service the first time, but there's a need on that customer to naturally reach out. But on a purchase, you've done phenomenal to be able to keep those past clients and help them with that next purchase. One of the best in the company at that, and that's just. And I know your answer is, well, I work hard and I know the customer, I know the agent, and they call me. But is there any secret tip that you'd add there? Because it's just phenomenal results that you are able to achieve on those past customers.
Over the years, whether we were First Horizon or MetLife or here at Caliber, we've had the marketing portal where they state, it was more of an automated system. And I definitely participate in the email campaigns, the drip campaigns. As far as the B2B stuff, I have that on autopilot. I probably should be in there a little more often, navigating through that and managing it, but it's on autopilot at the moment. And, all these retention tools that you guys have rolled out for us. I every single day I look at the, propensity leads and things of that nature. So I do click on those and I do send out those emails. Sometimes it's too late because they're payoffs.
Right.
But I saved somebody a couple weeks ago. It was a payoff, and they had a horrible experience with. I got them back.
Wow.
So so I do. Even if it's a payoff, I'm still emailing them.
Yeah.
Well, and if it's typically a payoff, it's typically a second email because I've already hit them up when it was a credit pull.
Yeah. I do think with some of the, to the degree we can get some of the digital, I call it digital exhaust, but the data of how customers are interacting with, realtor.com and Zillow and all the other tools, to the degree we continue to bring that data in to give you early alerts, I really think that will, not that your numbers are already double industry average, but from that perspective, I do think there's a chance to get to those customers, hopefully, a step sooner. So here's an interesting question we've asked, and so you've been doing this a long time. Started right, in the business, and obviously at the level that you're producing, one of the top loan officers, not just at Caliber in the industry. Is there ever a time as you look back and think, okay, 5 years in or whatever number of years in, on something that you did or a change you made to the way you did business that just after that you saw your production take off, whether that was on your referrals or on your customers? Anything that comes to mind on that?
One of the things that I've, without a doubt, when I'm referring to or, connecting with these realtors, I did as much entertaining and, whether it be coffee, breakfasts, or drinks after, they're done with their day, to just network.
Mm-hmm.
And, it really just getting that one-on-one
Mm-hmm.
time with that each, and I didn't go in and try to tackle the whole office. I
Right.
would focus on each particular realtor one-on-one. Or maybe I would tell them to bring other people, say, hey, we're going to have a lunch and learn.
Mm-hmm.
And, can you bring 2 or 3 people from your office? So, I religiously, made those sales calls. And for a new loan officer, just that courage to be able to get out and talk to people. There's a certain confidence you got to get
Yep.
underneath your belt before you feel super comfortable, trying to get a group of people out. You just got to know that you know more than them. And
Mm-hmm.
so once you kind of get that confidence built, you'll be able to meet with people, take them out for a round of golf or a top golf event that we might sponsor. Certain things like that, I think really had helped me because it gave me some one-on-one time.
Yeah.
And of course, I would want to speak at their sales meeting every
Right.
Tuesday. And then, probably getting involved with the board of realtors and the local chamber of commerce, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I was highly involved. It's stuff that I do not participate in today quite like I did, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things have changed over the
Yeah.
years. But in today's environment, I'm still doing lunches and I'm still doing certain events, sponsoring events, to just make sure Caliber's name is out there, and we're
Mm-hmm.
doing it in the proper compliant way.
Yeah.
It's certainly just being visible is what you want to do. I just got hit up today for a quote unquote new England Bokers is a
Mm-hmm.
new company that
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
to town. They're literally right out my window here, and they are moving over to a brand new site, and they want me to come sponsor an open house that they're going to
Mm-hmm.
have. They're probably going to have title reps and mortgage
Yeah.
reps and whoever. So just doing things like that is making your name visible. And to say you're going to reap the rewards immediately, you don't, but people at least see your name out there.
Yeah, that's one of the things, back kind of to your point about a good 1003. The other side is that that's not easy, right? Especially when you're early on, because of what you just said, right? It's not an instant gratification. You're putting those seeds that won't, germinate and pay off till years down the road sometimes, or months. And, but it's putting in that hard effort, building those personal relationships that I think, again, it's the simple things, not just in our business, but sales, that pay off. So it's so fascinating to hear that. So thinking ahead, right? You've been doing this a long time. What do you think, if we look out 4 or 5 years, what do you think is going to be the biggest change that we should be prepared for now, right? Whether that's with the referral partner, whether that's with customer or technology, just what kind of keeps you up that you think we need to be thinking about now to be prepared?
Well, I without a doubt, I think it's technology. We've obviously, I went from meeting 80% of my people not that long ago, and 20% of the people were online or mail outs, what have you. Now it's not even 80, 20 in reversal. It's probably more like 90% of the people I don't meet with.
Right.
And so from a technology standpoint, it's given me the ability to do everything remotely, especially during COVID. We've been in a position where everything with DocuSign, I've heard that, DocuSign closings are around the corner,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's a level of automation that I think we're going to experience in the next 4 to 5 years that really will change the landscape. And potentially in some cases they claim that if you talk to Jamie Dimon, they want to eliminate the loan officer, which I think is impossible. And
Well,
it's a matter of, there's things that I do that the computer can't do.
right.
And so, but overall, I think additional digital tools will continue to roll out to make our life easier.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And if you look at some of the studies, right, the consumer wants it, from the time that you get introduced to the consumer, right? It's never been about the loan, right? So if we can make it as easy as the loan is a means to an end to get their house, right? So to the degree we can make it as easy as possible and
Right.
and smooth as possible in as less amount of time, winner for everybody. But the piece to your point, what the computer can't do is build that relationship and do the things that we just talked about, business development. And when you look at any of the studies, the millennials actually are using or relying on a realtor for referrals even more so than the baby boomers and Gen X categories, right? So to your point, if anything, they're certainly going to expect a high level of engagement, if you will, from or technology engagement to get that thing faster. But I tend to be in your camp. That's the piece where we need to move, get cycle times down, and do that work so that we can have you continue to focus on the referral piece. So what? This is a fun question, at least fun for me. So you get a lot of advice. I imagine a lot of people say to you, Jack, you should do this, or, some vendor calling you. What's the piece of advice that you just shake your head that loan officers hear all the time and that you just completely discount because it doesn't work?
I don't know that I ever discount somebody else's opinion. I don't want to light my fire by extinguishing theirs. If
Yeah.
it works for them, that's great.
Yeah, good for you. So we talked about technology a little bit, and obviously you need H2O. Are there any other technology, whether it's software, hardware, just something that you can't live without that would make your job impossible?
So, when I came on, I was the first LO to come over from MetLife.
Yep.
I came over with 45 loans ready to input into H2O. I got used to H2O, and it had a nickname of H2 slow at one point. Now it's come a long way. The one thing that might surprise you is I don't use H2O that much.
Yeah.
By design.
Yeah.
I'm in it every single day, and I do run AUS, and there's certain things I do, but if I get stuck, I gotta grab Mary Ann. So I get in there enough, but one thing that I'm really good at within H2O is Loan Advisor. And in the last 12 months, I have literally just started using Loan Advisor because it was real choppy the last time I tried it. And in today's environment, to get my MI quotes and pricing, sometimes there can be errors made with all of the different loan level price adjustments and other, I guess, data that's maybe not on the rate sheet. And so I do use that to make sure that I'm pricing it out the way it should be priced out. So I would go back 2 steps if you eliminated Loan Advisor out of H2O.
Wow, I hadn't heard. That's fascinating. So, are you still one of the guys who uses this, or?
I have that. I'm not, and I there's one thing that I've created that's a real basic. I mean, it's just an Excel spreadsheet. But I make it look really nice with some columns.
Yeah.
And it's different than a lot of people because it's real basic. It's just only, the payment breakdown, sale price, down payment, and rate. And then I can literally get people a scenario in a matter of 1 minute.
Wow.
With, knowing if I know the rate and the PMI, it's as fast as I can type it in. So,
Yeah.
so I do utilize Excel, and then I'll, email it to them, and then they can make decisions, and it really allows me to be efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm not, so in some cases I do go in and do the loan prospect tool, but that's time consuming compared to, I try to give them just a snapshot so that they can guide me on what I need to show them.
Sure. Wow. So you mentioned this, I think. I'll give you a chance just so you, in this business, meant from a mentor perspective. Do you think, have you had a mentor? I seem to recall you made a comment earlier, but wanted to just double back. And if so, is the discussion on the loan quality, is that the teaching that you had from the mentor?
Yeah, and I mentioned Lewin,
Yeah.
just because he's definitely the one in this world that we live in. If you ask John Montgomery who takes the best loan app, he's going to say Mark. There's certain people that are wired to where, I get in the office very early. So does he. So there's some characteristics that I've picked up from him, but there's a lot of things that he does that's completely old school, and he can't let go of certain things. And that's the things that I've taken maybe some other people that I've had confidence in that's shown me other ways. I've kind of built my own style from a multitude of people. So, we got a lot of top producers in my area. And so we've all kind of learned from each other and picked up. I still pick up ideas, no different than when we met in New York back in December. There were some people I met there. I mean, I took some notes, and I've made some changes with things that I've done to help improve my system.
No, that's great. Okay, so now the easy question. So what was your first paying job?
I did look at that, and that was it was a paper route.
We're almost 80% of the interviews, it was a paper route. And it's unreal, including you. I don't know if you know Christine Madrid, right? And so it's phenomenal. I'm glad that I know she didn't script that, but that's great. So clearly paper route equals success in the mortgage business.
Yeah, I'm without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, I literally had to go knock on doors for $3.35.
So we talked about that too. So not only it was the first form of collecting, right? You had to go and get your money.
I had to collect. Yeah, that was brutal, especially when you'd go collect and they
right.
That was awful.
Right. Okay, so a couple other quick ones here. If you weren't a mortgage originator and you weren't a commercial, didn't go that route, what would you do? What would your other career be?
I think I'm making Mai Tais in Hawaii at a bar.
I think, that's where the networking comes in, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt.
There's lots of time for that.
Yeah, I know.
What's your hobbies and interests? Obviously you have a lot going on at work, and that rare time away, what's your favorite go-to hobby or interest to spend time and clear your head?
You know what? I'm going to say probably I'm on the water on the weekends, and we do a lot of boating, surfing, definitely a lake person. Good. So that's, we find, whether it's with family or friends, we find ourselves to end up on my boat or somebody else's boat over the weekend.
What about, do you have to, now you get into the winter of Indiana, do you have a substitute hobby, or do you just go to warmer places to keep boating?
We'll either go skiing or we'll hit up, we got a condo in Florida.
Yeah.
So we'll head down to Florida, heading there Friday. So
terrific. So you still get the water. All right. Last question. This is a big one. So stress in our business, particularly in 2020, there's been no reason to be stressed. How do you handle the stress, right? And what do you have a remedy that anyone can learn from?
I drink a lot.
As we,
I think in all seriousness, it's a balance that you got to figure out, and it's not an easy one because if I have not enough stress in my life, I'm probably not closing enough loans.
Right.
Okay, so I have to figure out how many loans I can close without putting myself over the edge, and that's been more challenging in the last 3 months than ever in 24 more prior years. But it's you sometimes you do got to shut it off. I rely on my assistant sometimes to take on some emails. I think I get 250 emails a day. You probably get more than that, I'm sure, but it's definitely a tough thing to balance. So you just got to really find some time that you can spend with your family to turn the phone down, don't take it to the dinner table, and maybe time block. Sometimes I fail at that, but that's what I know I need to do.
Yeah. Oh, and at least understand, right? I think you said it at the beginning of it is look, there's a level of stress that's part of the business, and it's just finding that line where enough is enough and too much and balancing. Well, we're down. My little timer says that the Zoom call is going to end soon. So, but in any case, Jack, I would just tell you this was great. And first, as I said, we really appreciate you taking the time to do this. But more importantly, this company is, you should feel so proud of what you've built. You've been here a long time, what you've brought to this company. Obviously, you've built your own personal business, but what you've brought to Caliber, I hope you can reflect back on that for many years in the future of the imprint that you had. And I'm so thankful to have gotten to know you. But more importantly, we thank you for all you do for us. And
thank you.
Phenomenal.
We appreciate your support.
You bet. All right, Jack Overy, everybody. Have a great day, Jack.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
Take care, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to the Home Connection podcast from Caliber Home Loans. Please see the show notes for links to topics discussed in this episode, and be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.